been, but not that many. The funding for our state universities has dropped by $23 million per university. Wow.
You know, something that you should know, you should too, is that the regents, I can't believe they came out and publicly said this, but the regents said that UNI has the best, well-maintained and some big word of facilities. And I said,
Interesting.
yeah. So I'm trying to spread that rumor as far and wide as I can. You know, so many good things happen at UNI. It's incredible.
It's a lovely place.
It is.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order now that we've gotten the battle of the public universities out of the way.
Oh, I'm not done yet.
Okay, so call to order the meeting of the Design Review Board. And first order of business is to approve the minutes of the last meeting. Is there any conversation, changes, corrections?
So move.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Thank you. Old business. I don't believe we have any old business. There's none on the agenda. New business. Case DR 1911, request for design approval, 220 East 2nd Street, C-D Downtown District, Wade Hoffa,
Sorry.
on behalf of TAG Communications. Anybody
Briefly,
here? Come
Wade,
on up.
come on up.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thanks. How are you?
Good.
Tell us about what you've got going on.
Actually, if you could come up so we're recording all these meetings.
sure.
So,
Yeah.
grab you a chair.
Here, you know what? We can just pull this one.
So these designs were actually sent to us from TAG. They have their own crew. That one on the bottom there, which would be on the west side of the building, that's no longer in play. They don't wish to have a sign there anymore. Looks like
So that
that's-
would be on the west side of the building?
Yes. That was the new one. That's both on the south and east facing walls. And then that's an existing monument sign there, the top picture, that they just want to rebrand.
The monument is there right now.
Yeah, that exists.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Can you tell us a little bit about the materials for the sign?
That actually has not been decided on yet. It's going to either be probably acrylic or metal, aluminum.
Okay, is that based on cost, or why is that not yet decided?
We haven't. This is just the initial design. We haven't even gone through the rest of it, the materials and all of that.
So typically, we do approve the materials as well.
Okay. I didn't even know I was having this meeting today. So
Well,
I
thank
found
you for
out this
coming.
morning. Yeah, so, yeah, no problem.
Is it lit?
It is not.
It is not lit.
No, it's basically the thickest it would ever be would be a couple inches thick, and if it's made out of aluminum, if it's made out of acrylic, it'd be even thinner.
What was your staff recommendation on this?
To approve it, I mean, looking at the downtown design guidelines, it's clearly consistent.
In terms of design, but what about if we don't know what the materials are gonna be?
Well, that would be a challenge, to be
Metal
honest.
or-
No, pardon me?
Think of metal and acrylic's pretty
Yeah.
common, and these are kind of cut as opposed to just being like a box, you know.
Say, knowing the reputation of River Bend,
And tag, I'm sure they
Yep,
choose.
right.
Anybody else have any questions or comments, thoughts? I guess it's really up to us if we want to approve it without knowing those materials, have them come back with a final approval, we can approve the design.
Oh, there it is. I got it there.
Thoughts? This is their logo, correct? We're
Yes.
basically blowing it up and
Yes.
transforming
correct,
it into a sign.
Correct.
Is there anything up there now?
You can see in that picture, there's a very small plaque above the door. Yeah, there it is. That exists.
That's the existing.
I think it looks fine.
Mhm.
Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Greg.
Second.
Second. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There you go.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for
Have a-
coming down.
Yeah, you got it. Have a good day.
All right, next case, DR 19-12, request for design approval, 421 West River Drive, C-D Downtown Zoning District, replace decking and balustrade, and 4 new murals, City of Davenport petitioner.
Mark Miller, Steve Aaron's is here.
I'm gonna lead off with the mural part, and then Mark Miller's here to talk about the decking. I'm Steve Aaron's with the Riverfront Improvement Commission. Good evening to each of you. The murals on the north side, you may have noticed, about 4 years ago, in partnership with the Quad City Arts, during a summer youth program, we had them design and complete a number of them, I think 5. And at that time, they also painted the rail car as well. We, due to lack of funding at that time, and I can't believe it's been 4 years, but it has, we are now circling back with them to try to finish the remaining 4 exposed doors with murals that are thematically connected to the rest of it that we began previously. And so we do not have, outside of me telling you that it will be consistent with the mural designs, the part of the project with the youth is to do those as they're assembled. And so, you know, basically a few days before they start the actual painting, the young people get together and, you know, collaborate and develop the designs. But at least here, we know that, I mean, my direction has been that it needs to be thematically connected to what's existing, both, you know, color and design-wise. But you can see in this picture the 3 remaining ones that need finished, kind of to the west of the building, or the west of the existing ones, and then there's one on the other side of this section. Basically, the one beneath, it looks from here, beneath the silo. This other door opens, and it might not have the same kind of effect if we paint it, I don't think, since it opens. So that one would probably be left as is, but it's also kind of tucked in a corner.
Steve, do you and your board have a review of what it is they're going to do prior
Yeah.
to them doing it?
I will, and I'll send it out to the board. They won't probably vote on it, but
Sure.
yes, we will.
Okay.
Absolutely, because I want to make sure that it's consistent.
Yep.
But I was more nervous 4 years ago because that was the way it was going into it, and I was like, but wonder if I don't like it. There's very little time to change it, but these are wonderful murals. So
So you do have a final vote of refusal if,
yes.
well, I think the murals are great. They've added a lot to
I
them.
do too.
The look of the Freight House.
And I should mention that each of those are illuminated. So that
Mhm.
that north side is pretty dark, or can be. And so each of them have, as part of a project of about the same time, each of those are illuminated, so they kind of pop at night as people are racing past.
Mhm. How have they held up?
They have held up very well, actually, to my astonishment.
Yeah.
Mhm. But the elements, you know, it's facing north, and so it doesn't get the sun beating on it or a lot of the bad weather, some of it.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't done a close inspection, but I think all this latest generation of murals from Quad City Arts have held up
Mhm.
far better than I thought they would.
Yeah. Is there ever a plan to do anything with those awning structures?
Oh, I know, we talked about that previously.
Yeah.
I know, we haven't had any recent discussions about it.
I think accenting them would be pretty cool. I don't know how
Yeah, I do
how structurally sound they are at this point, but
Right.
it's kind of a neat architectural element.
Yes.
All right, anybody else have any questions?
You just wanna go through the other portion and then vote
Yeah,
on
oh,
the other
yeah.
ones? Yep.
All yours, Mark. Thanks.
Hey, Mark.
Hi, I'm Mark Miller with Brackey Hayes Millerman Architects, and we're going to talk about the other side of the building, the river side. The deck was put on, we think, sometime early 2000 vintage, not exactly sure, but it's wearing. It's outside all the time, weather, snow, rain, and so we are going to be doing some repairs. We're replacing all of the deck boards. On the lower level deck, the main deck, it will go back with composite deck boards. This is a similar product. It'll be bid out, so we don't know the exact brand, the exact configuration, but it'll look something like this, a similar color way. That lower deck will have composite boards. The upper deck off the restaurant upstairs, because of the way that deck is constructed, we have to stay with the treated lumber. So that deck will be replaced with real wood, if you will, but it will be pressure treated lumber on the upper deck. The upper deck, the railing that's there now will remain. On the main lower deck, that railing will be replaced. Again, it's old, it's basically a wood construction, and that will be replaced with a new galvanized steel and stainless steel aircraft cable railing system. So it'll go back basically in the same location. It will be 42 inches tall, and it will be anchored to the structure of the deck. So that's my quick little summary of what's going on. So if anyone has any questions,
What happens to the ADA ramp area? Is that being
that
replaced?
stays the same.
That stays the same?
Yes.
Including the railing?
Yes.
And I think I've noticed, at least in our weather, that a galvanized, if you have a painted, even if it's metal, within, I don't know, about a year, it starts to rust.
Yeah, it doesn't hold up. And we've tried powder coating, and the hot dip galvanized steel really does wear very well. And I think it fits style-wise with the, I don't want to say nautical theme, but.
That was my word. I have wanted that for so long, so.
But as you all know, there's a lot of folks that visit down there, and we want something that is sturdy and wears well, but also looks good. So that's what
There's kind of a,
Never really been a fan of how the detail ties into that, or doesn't, to that handicap ramp. All the vertical,
Mhm.
the vertical lines of that versus now and you're staying with more of a horizontal
Right.
architecture with this as well. Are those bicycles gonna stay?
The bicycles are part of the advertising for Antonella's, so I don't know.
Probably not. I wouldn't
No.
think.
And then the superstructure of the deck,
We will be repairing that, yes.
so
Once
you'll still have that exposed treated lumber for
the
this area?
the deck structure itself, the horizontal board at the bottom, that will get covered with composite wood.
Okay.
um,
So then
on the
the
lower deck.
the vertical supports will all be what material?
Those are existing wood, and they'll remain
Okay.
treated lumber.
So basically, you're replacing the pipe with the cable?
The green piping and the wood stanchions are replaced with the hot dip galvanized steel. Yes.
all of that's gone.
Okay.
Everything
Just
from
the
the deck
substructure will
level
be the,
up.
yeah, and
The structure stays the same, but everything from the deck level up is replaced.
And And it looks like I saw that the top rail is also a piece of composite.
Yes, we'll have a piece of composite lumber on that so people can set their food or drinks or whatever they happen to be carrying around. It's set up that way now, and I think people use that quite a bit, so we'll be retaining that.
And it will be carried all the way out to.
All the way out to the end of the ramp, yes, we're replacing all of the railing on the south side.
Anybody else have any questions? Is the decorative lighting part of the request too, or?
They
what?
showed it.
Existing, isn't it?
The decorative light, we're putting in the taller columnettes that would hold the lighting up. The lighting currently is all done by the individual tenants. And we're just trying to do something that's a little more clean and sturdy and consistent.
I'll say, depending on how the bids come in, you know, that will either be within the bid package, or I think the commission will like the lighting, everyone seems to,
Mhm.
so we'll put in that.
It just seems like these are the types of things that just end up showing up one
They do.
day, so I appreciate the
There's a
the
piece of
forethought.
conduit that's
The whole-
Well, of
duct
the,
taped on, yeah.
the structure at least providing for that. Just because, I think we've talked about it several times, just having adequate light on both sides of the
Right.
building is really important.
So those will be a repetition all along the deck,
Right.
whether they choose to, whether it works out that they choose to light it, or you light it, or somebody else lights it, at least they'll have consistent
Yeah.
support
The
along the
support will
way.
be there,
And
yes.
what is that support?
That's galvanized steel pipe too, yeah.
Anybody else?
How's this material hold up? Looks
Very well. Again, like anything else outside, it wear and tear, but,
It does fade.
specific warranty on it?
I don't know.
25
Yeah.
years. But we'll-
The outside of it is PVC and the inside is a plastic sawdust composite. So they make the board structure and then they form the PVC coating around the outside.
It'll look a lot better than the faded
Yes.
rough wood.
It's seen better days. Some of it
Yes.
isn't bad, some of it's really pretty bad.
You haven't seen my deck.
It's a really nice space, though.
That's bad too.
It gets a lot of use too, so.
Is there a plan at some point to change that upper deck, or is that serving its purpose as it
It's not
is?
nearly as old as the others. I think it's only about 10 years old, compared to probably at least 25 years of the other, in this iteration.
Mhm.
So I think it was more of a technical, the way it would attach, right? Mark?
Right, the lower deck, the floor joists are at 24 inches on center, and the composite deck only spans 12 inches. So we're adding floor joists on the lower deck to make the span correct. On the upper deck, the way it's constructed, adding those joists are at 16 inches on center. So if we got down to 12, we'd either have to rebuild it or add joists so that they'd be 8 inches on center, which gets to be very complicated the way it's framed, so.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody want to make a motion?
I would move to approve.
Thank you, PJ. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank
Carry
you.
on. Is that gonna happen this year?
That's the goal, yes.
All right, thank you very much. That's my agenda. There it is. Okay, case DR 19-13, request for design review, 630 East 4th Street, C-D District, new downtown YMCA and related site improvements, Scott County Family YMCA petitioner. Gentlemen,
Greg
wanna
and
come on up?
Brad are here, and Jason.
And as before, I will abstain from this conversation as I am on the YMCA board.
Which seat do you want,
Got it.
My attachments to it. Bring it down so we can flash it.
The what?
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Hopefully you have our rendering so we can at least point it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I had a glitch, so I'm gonna go grab.
Oh, okay.
You wanna start?
Well, I can start by saying, thanks for seeing us again. I'm not sure who all was here in June when we were here, but,
Maybe you just want to introduce yourself, Greg, and we'll start with that.
I will, yeah. I'm Greg Gowie, Studio 483 Architects from here in Davenport. We are here today to show you the design of the new Scott County Family Y downtown Davenport facility. As I said earlier, we were here in June to give you a preliminary view of what was being done. The design began 2 years ago, and it was done by Grow Architects out of Virginia. They're a national firm that works with Ys around the country to get the process started, and in some cases, complete the process. But the intent here was to get the design, start the fundraising process, and then work with a local firm to finish the architectural work and to build it. So that's the process we're in right now. We're nearly complete with the construction documents. Actually, 25% of the project, the foundation site work has already been bid. The architectural work is out for bids currently. So we are here today just to show you not only the rest of the design, have the discussions, but I also brought the materials that, the exterior materials that we'll be using. Do we have something to show? I don't have much more to tell.
Nope.
Unless Brad or Jason
Well, I
wants
can
to-
just interject, the design of the building itself really has not changed since it was shared in June. Includes a variety of materials. Personally, I think it's a great looking building. It'll be a great gateway into our downtown from the east. We'll get, Ron will get flash drive with more pictures on there. So we've got basically two parts of this. We've got the architecture of the building, then we have the site plan. And we recognize that, first of all, with respect to the site, it's a unique piece of property. It's never been part of the city grid. It was, the site of the first railroad crossing going way back, and then had been in various industrial uses or vacant since then. So as much as we desire to, integrate properties into, I'll say the downtown fabric, downtown grid, there are definitely some unique challenges with this site. Not only that it was never part of the city grid, we have floodplain issues, we have grade change issues, we have kind of a, I don't say rare, but somewhat odd assemblage of parcels. So trying to get not only the Y project working, but how it can be coordinated with future development that's bound to occur on the site, particularly to the west, will be a challenge. So we've had discussions in terms of some of the connectivity issues. So I think the three things that I had put in our staff report, it would be to be, while we don't need to do anything now, be willing to make revisions along the west side of the site so it incorporates to what may very well be a residential or mixed-use project. You have a handicap ramp on the south side of the building, but you also have the early childhood center, and it just seems like it begs for a stair. And I don't know if you had explored that, but just would not be handicapped accessible, but going from, in essence, the early childhood and the front entrance on the Y side, on the west side. Then finally, maybe it's a bit of a detail, but we had talked about treatment along Federal Street, which has looked terrible for probably as long as I can remember. But bringing in either wrought iron styled fence, be it vinyl, wrought iron, vinyl, or aluminum, kind of cleaning up that north perimeter along the side, along Federal. To be honest, between this site and Republic Electric, do show some details there, but, you know, trying, while it's proven that a street connection to Federal is unfeasible, we want to make sure that there's a good, basically a good, I'll say north door to the whole property, so. So Ryan come in and.
Yeah, he's retrieving round two.
What if I slide in here? Not if I slide in here. Easier to do from this vantage point.
Maybe we should have brought the low tech. I
got
gotta roll the
some-
drawings back there and roll them out.
We'll get there.
All right, which one will we see first? Site plan?
Well, the materials are out, maybe do architecture first.
Yeah, if that's okay, let's get
Yeah.
started with the exterior. There's a couple of renderings that are a part of this package, if you could,
That work or keep going?
that would be good. What you're looking at here is a view from the west.
Sorry.
Oops, that's okay. So that is from the parking lot, looking at the building and looking at the main entrance of the building. And as Matt had said earlier, there's a multiple of types of materials on this building. Of course, there's a lot of glass because we want the vision in and we want the vision out. There's also panels, there's some Nichiha, which is a composite fiber cement wood panel. And what I did is bring along with me today the selections of the materials as it relates to these renderings. Now, the first rendering is primarily those colors that I'm going to show you, and then we'll turn around the corner and we'll look at some of the other options. Around the pool itself, if you see where it says Davenport Y and the Y logo, it's a ACM metal panel, and it's kind of a wood grain look metal panel. So I brought a sample of that. As you look at the left, above the entrance and around the back corner of the building here is going to be a fiber cement composite panel. And we've got two selections here. Part of what I'm showing you too is we're still trying to determine which color we want to go with. That also leads to the color of the window framing system, which could be one of two colors as well. And I'm not trying to make this a selection process, I just want to let you know where we're at in our process in determining what these colors are going to be. Should be another rendering as you go around the building, because once you look from the south, no, you're good, I think it might be at the end. Actually, an elevation will work, but if you go down one or two more, there should be a rendering. Wow, it's way down. There we go. That's an aerial view or an elevated view from the southwest. Probably the Riverside view. 4th Street, of course, is, sorry, not showing the site plan. 4th Street is down here, and you can see the Early Learning Center, the corner of the building right there. A lot of glass again, similar to the colors that we had shown you, but there's also the,
Southeast, right?
what's that? I
Looking
said southwest, didn't I?
Mhm.
It is southeast. And then there's more of a wood grain Nichiha panel, which you see not only on the stair tower, but around the base of what is the structure that's going to be the gym. Primarily, it's those colors. There's also some sheet metal flashing and other colors that will need to be coordinated with this, and I didn't bring those along for today. I just wanted to show you the general understanding of the building. It's good to point out on this rendering, though, that there's going to be an outdoor deck in this location. So, great view of the river, great view from River Drive and of the river up to that outdoor deck. That outdoor deck is going to be used for exercise classes, but can also be used for community activities and other events in the building.
The only big difference, I think the roof is white, is that correct?
Well, good point. This roof is going to be a white EBDM roof. This roof around here is going to be a gravel ballasted roof, because when we're using this deck, we don't want to look at the the white EPDM roof. So we're trying to put some texture, a little more materials when you're at that point.
Did you look at a green roof at all?
There was at one time discussion of a green roof over here, but because of the budget and because of where we're at cost-wise, we're setting that aside. It's being bid as an alternate. Chances are, it's not going to be incorporated in the project based on where the numbers are. I know that was quick, you haven't had a chance to really look at it that close, but any questions?
Yeah, Greg, I missed something, I think, on the public area roof, where you have the white EPDM, you're gonna put
This
a
is gonna be the
ballast.
white EPDM.
Okay,
It's rendered, we're still using the Groves drawing.
okay,
They're rendering it black, but it's gonna be white. The, surface area here are going to be concrete pavers with,
Okay.
a rubber covering over them, because there's gonna be exercise classes out there. That is separate from the roof by a glass railing here, and then around between the grass railing and the coping here, and over here is going to be a gravel ballasted roof. Is that your question, Greg?
yes, yep. Thank you.
We wanted to create a little bit different look up there, and you know how EPDM roofs look after a couple of years, they look older and dirty.
Tired.
You see all the joints and,
You bet, that's a great idea.
Did you talk about
Are there any
access
other,
plan?
elevations or?
Did you talk about pedestrian?
Yeah, as a prelude.
The one thought I had looking at the site plan, I understand probably the need for accessible entrances. Is there an opportunity, I know, and I get that you have a grade change at the west elevation of the building. I'm wondering if there's an opportunity to put stairs in that location.
You go to the site plan.
Yeah, probably the site plan, but.
We're ready to
you can stop
move off
here
the
too.
architect?
This
Yeah.
might help.
Okay.
Are you talking about from the early learning center?
Right.
Yeah.
Up to this elevation? Okay, now go to the site plan. I know that Matt said that earlier, I was trying to understand. Because the one long ramp we have from the early learning center is the access for the kids in the early learning center.
That's the,
Why don't you go on up, because the other site plan has the landscaping on it, it's a
Right.
little more complete. This parking lot, the parking lot in the early learning center is currently sloped. And it slopes from the street up to the site level of the, new building. So your question is somewhere.
Yeah, I guess seeing that there's a sidewalk connection. Here, I'm wondering if there's an opportunity to provide, I understand it's a grade change here, but only what, 2/3 of your accesses need to be accessible, so only the staircase could be installed for pedestrian access to the location.
Jason is along to respond to some of the civil engineering questions. There is quite a bit of grade change between here and here, and we have a retaining wall here, which allows this sidewalk to wrap around the front of the building. I'm not sure in that location if that would be the place we could put it, because we need to keep this sidewalk as an access point to the mechanical room, where there'll be some deliveries for materials for the pool. And this is also, we're trying to keep this grade flat in here because there's access off the back of the early learning center, not only for egress, but also for the connection up to their door access to the new building. Jason, I don't know if you have any comments on that and how much stair it would actually take to get from here to here. It might be better positioned over here, but I'm just thinking out loud.
Trying to remember what the grade difference is, I've got it right here.
Where would Dr. Shamas' office be located?
His tenant space is right here. And he'll have access through the building, but he'll also have access to the fire lane that's on the north side of the building.
It's
Oh.
about 13 feet in difference between the two, between the sidewalk and that front door. Pretty good difference between the two.
I don't know if you have the space to do it.
Probably
Or
not
how much
quite as close
distance?
with your landing.
13 feet over how much distance?
Not much.
Not much. About an inch.
Curious scale.
Probably
Real.
about 40 feet maybe or so.
I suppose there
Maybe
could
30
be
feet.
a here to do something like this, if that's the location that we wanna create
I
it.
guess my question would be why? Why the connection with the early learning center? Put the why when we already have one. My question would be why?
Just a clear, dedicated pedestrian access to the front of the building.
Right, but
So we're-
one building operates as an early learning center and another as a Y, so we do away with the other one to the right then?
No, I wouldn't suggest that at all. Anytime you have somebody that's potentially accessing this that has to walk through a parking lot to enter the building is not, I'm assuming that the main entrance
Oh,
is
you
at
mean
the
people
west.
that might park down in the early learning center go up to the Y?
Let's say you're walking from the street.
Yeah, if you come off of,
Street.
And of course, if you have wheelchair-bound citizens.
Yeah, I mean, I walk to the Y currently, Brad.
Yeah, I get it now. I thought you meant you're talking about early learning center.
No, no, this one. I was
get
just
it
trying
now.
to see if the sidewalks could be tied in together.
Well, we have a sidewalk right there, Greg, in front of the early learning center. Could that just be extended? That goes all the way down to the street.
Well, as I mentioned before, I think if you're going to use that as the access point, you're gonna have some stairs that come up here, a landing and come up to this elevation. I think
Because
that's
the
the only way that we
elevation
can make
change.
that work.
Yeah, correct. Stairs might be okay, but ADA won't be.
Well, just need to have 2/3 of your entrances ADA accessible. So I assume, do you meet that in the back there, Greg?
Which one?
Well, how many entrances do you have?
Well,
Public.
main point of entrance is here, there's also a point of entrance here. There's different entry points throughout here, but those are all, locked doors mainly for egress.
Okay. But that still meets accessibility.
You're gonna need that, especially for Dr. Shamas' patients. He has some very ill patients that I'm sure that will be going through. So if you have patients and the parking is mostly utilized, even those who are in wheelchairs, they're gonna have a great way to travel just to get to his office.
Well, either that or they can be dropped off at this door here.
Okay.
We have to go back and look at the floor plan.
so
to
that
show
would
how
be a
that
public
works.
access then, Greg?
What's that?
That would be a public access, those 3 back doors?
Dr. Shamash is gonna have 2 ways to get into his clinic. One is through the Y, a
Yep.
point here, and the other is a public access point here.
So that public access off the fire lane is just a drop-off
It's a
kind of
drop-off,
thing then?
yeah. These spaces over here are gonna be reserved for his patients, so they'll have to be dropped off and then brought back. The cars will have to be parked.
Okay.
And I don't know how much traffic, it's more of a heart research center, not a cardio rehab center.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, how many medical examination rooms does he?
Only 2.
Only 2. It's not what people think, cardio rehab, there's gonna be tons of traffic. It's cardio research.
Yeah, and that's
Just a little
mostly,
bit different.
yeah, I've seen his patients do the research process, quite a bit, and age is a factor, and also, those, I've known a lot of his patients also to be wheelchair bound. And I know it's not cardio, I understand that, but just for patients to be able to access, his office without, I guess, the congestion, could be somewhat of a concern. But if they do have an access point on the side of the building there, again, we're looking at age, things of that nature for patients to be able to easily access his office.
How many of those 3 doors are his, Greg? On the north side, off the fire lane?
Let's go to the floor plan. The challenge is the floor plan you're going to see is just gonna show an empty tennis space. It's not gonna
Sure.
show his layout. There we go. Site plan that you looked at, the building extends back to here. Let's get a little bit closer. So the main entrance to the building, to the YMCA, is right here. So you have an access point here internally. You have an access to his space right there. These are just egress doors for the multipurpose room.
Sure.
So
Okay.
his is this one. He does have to have one more over here, because if the Y is closed and he's open, he has to have two means of egress.
And there's a great enough distance between those two doors that
Between
they'll
this
meet
one and this
code.
one, it does meet the, code
Okay.
requirements.
Okay.
Dana, I know you had a question earlier, but not sure if
I
it
can't
was
remember what it was.
site related or building related.
I don't remember. I think it was after, because you answered the stair, you said it was 40 feet, 13 feet of rise and 40 feet of length?
Yeah, depending if we extend off of that sidewalk in front of the early learning center, you might only have about 27 feet there. We've got probably 10 feet of rise there.
So what's the slope of that drive connection
Close.
between the early learning center and the Y there? It's gotta be pretty steep then.
Existing wise,
Cause right, that is a,
Now, the early learning
Parking
center
lot
parking
connection.
lot that's currently there, Jason.
yeah, the existing one is 10%-ish, somewhere in that ballpark. I'm not sure. Didn't bring the scales. But I believe it flattens out at the front of your building on the early learning
It
center.
does,
doesn't it?
yeah, parking lot's kind of flat.
Yeah, but the entrance up is probably about 10%-ish.
Pretty good grade, yeah, it's a pretty good grade.
Jason, what's the fire, width of the fire lane?
26, or, oh, I guess on the backside,
Yeah.
good question. Dimensions on that right now or not, but I'm pretty sure I think it's 26 feet, I believe.
So that'll be drop-off only, Greg? There won't be any parking allowed in that fire lane? Okay.
So what, we're talking about basically three components, correct? Materials that we need to approve, and then conversation about the staff concerns about connection to Fourth Street, and what was the other one that you guys had
The,
concern about?
The other things, and as far as the architecture, I don't know if you wanna separate actual materials from building form, whatnot. I don't think you usually do that. The other things that I brought up, before again was how we make this connection when, yeah, not only to early childhood, but to Fourth Street. Wanting a little more information about how we handle this, I'll say that northern entrance, that's where it suggested the black, wrought iron style fence. And then finally, we have a large tract here, really a big opportunity to see some significant development there, either apartments or mixed use. I know there've been some discussions there, and not knowing how this site might develop out, we wanna make sure that we acknowledge that there very well could and should be some connections, either pedestrian, I think at one point there was even a possible driveway connection down in this location. Did I see that on one of the plans? Again, we're not saying you must do X, Y, and Z. I think we want to acknowledge that there's gonna probably be a need to do some alterations on the west side of the site plan.
Do either of you have any comments that would address any of that right now?
Well, I'm all for fixing up the north property, but I'd love to go to the city to help do that. The curb is totally disintegrated there. There's no curb left there or anything. So we could go in and rip out all the hedgerow, put in wrought iron. We have a curb there that doesn't exist. So is the city gonna help a little bit in helping modernize that area? We're all for that, but I don't know if the Y needs to flip the bill for a street to the north for the entire infrastructure to get fixed there. I'm all for fixing it up, but I'd like to have some discussions with the city, what that looks like, cause that curve is history. It doesn't exist hardly.
It is a low to moderate income area, could, CDBG funds could be, we would need an adjacent project, but public infrastructure is.
But I'm for it.
CDBG.
I think we wanna clean it up. You know what I mean? Want it to look nice and everything, and I hope, you know, the developer, working on the west thing, I would think they'd feel the same way, cause that helps it's gonna help all the property there look nicer. But we'd like to have a little bit of help on it, you know, just instead of the Y flipping and build to fix up the neighborhood to the north.
Isn't there some city requirement for participating in curb and that kind of thing?
Again, I go back to what I was suggesting, that's only would be on private property. I acknowledge that, you know, the whole Federal Street, along with, you know, dozens of other streets in the neighborhood, need a lot of attention. But as far as, you know, obviously Ryan and I can't commit to expending city funds on infrastructure sitting here. We impose regulations, we don't make people happy by providing financial incentives.
Oh, go out on a limb.
So, but, I mean, like Ryan said,
It's a conversation we'd like to have, yeah. Benefits everybody.
Yep.
absolutely. And, we're certainly happy to bring that back to Bruce and the development side of the department for more dialogue.
That hedge road needs help. We can all agree on that. It's an eyesore.
Oh, yeah.
Is that in the SMID?
What's that?
Is that in the SMID?
Boy, I don't know.
I don't think it
think it
comes
is.
that far, Dina.
I don't think
Does
so.
it?
I think the
Stops
railroad-
short of there. Unfortunately. Maybe that's something we should look at doing, is bringing it into the SMID.
We consider it part of our downtown, and when we redid our zoning ordinance, specifically went, I think, I wonder if it is.
I thought it went to federal.
You might be
I don't know.
right.
I thought it stopped short.
Now I'm
I could
starting
be
to think
wrong.
that it. I think you might be right.
With this nice of a development, I
Yeah.
think we all should try and think about, think through a way to deal with that end.
I drove there Monday again on the backside there, and it's just, we
Awful.
just gotta demo everything on there and
Mhm.
start over. And I think everybody should be part of it. Now, the city might feel
Yep.
differently, but
I agree.
Well, of course, the expectation is whatever treatment occurs on your property would be extended
right.
Mhm.
all the way down the
True.
street on the west side.
I think you and Ryan just ought to go out on a limb and commit X million dollars to get it fixed.
Go ahead and
Just
make it part of your motion.
Get it on the recording right now, and we'll go for it. We'll back you.
I've said too much already.
Okay, so, we don't have our vice chair here. I need somebody to ask for a motion.
Well,
We need a chairperson pro tem.
okay,
Greg, will you be?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
But a couple comments. I'm a little reluctant to deal with that whole end right now, though. And not because I don't think something should be done. I think it should be done, but I'm just not sure how the collective can address that. Unless you guys have a suggestion other than throwing a bunch of money at it from your department.
Well, I think you can say something to the effect of, ask or direct staff to work with the Y to secure financial incentives to
Sure.
assist with
Oh,
the rehab of that north
That's not really incentives, it's try city to focus on adjacent infrastructure.
Yeah.
So it's not just simply, a direct benefit to the Y. So I don't even think it needs to be framed as an incentive towards the Y.
Okay, I like what you said.
He's making the motion.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think we should direct staff, city, and the Y in this motion to come together to bring resolution to that end. That fair, Brad?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it somehow if, get some help on the concrete and the trees, the Y supplies the fencing or something that's a win-win for everybody. I just don't know how fair it is to make, the Y correct the drainage up there and take a tree line out that's been there for 100 years. And I just, that's where.
Sure.
But we have some responsibility, I just don't know how much.
Then also we need to, should we address the fence now?
Well,
I probably
later.
anticipate they wanna get back going on grading, and that could
Yeah.
come back at a later time.
Yeah.
And again,
Once we kinda figure
how
out
things
what's
align
up.
with any development on the west side, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
Regardless of what the DRB does with respect to, I'll say the north and west boundaries, as development proposals come along, we're gonna have that
You
conversation.
bet. Absolutely.
But,
Absolutely.
we're not gonna have any heartburn if you don't include specific clauses on how we address an issue that we're really not quite sure how it comes about. We don't know if we're talking about, 50 units or 250 units. That could, vastly change, the whole economic model, and it may provide more or less opportunities financially to deal with.
Okay, now I really don't know what that motion looks like.
I mean, I think you could do a few. You could do a motion for the materials at least and get that going.
Well,
And then,
but we're gonna treat all three as separate. I see that, I have a concern about the stairs going up to and the access from Fourth Street. And I really do believe that there needs to be some kind of step. Question for you, Greg, what is that entrance over to the Riverside? Is that?
This
Yes,
entrance?
what is that?
The stair tower.
ADA accessible.
Elevator.
Right now, the only people that were anticipating using this entrance are the ones from the Early Learning Center. And it's just a ramp up to that door.
Is there a reception desk there?
No, the reception desk is right
Yeah, there won't
here.
be.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll be locked, other than the Early Learning Center staff will have a key.
Sure. Like, I really think that we need a stairway, steps coming from Fourth and up.
Here, right? Is that what
Right,
you're thinking? Just
exactly.
Extension of this sidewalk up and some kind of
Yes.
switchback stair.
Yep, exactly.
I don't think you're gonna get it here and here, but Jason, I guess we can work on that and see.
See what that looks like.
Partway up.
Sure.
Partway up.
And I think that would be important. And I'm good with the materials. And, so I guess the motion would be that we encourage the city staff and the Y to come together to reach some kind of proposal to deal with that west end. And,
West or north?
or north, I'm sorry,
You're
north.
talking about up here and beyond?
Right.
Yes, yes.
Improvements on Federal Street.
Right, improvements on Federal Street, I'm sorry, yes. And that a steps from Fourth to the main entrance be included in the design and construction. and we approve the materials as presented. And I'm open to, a motion.
I would make
Or,
that a motion.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I would second.
Discussion? Any heartache with any of that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And I
Thank you.
abstain.
Thank
Okay.
you all. I think it's a neat project. I really do. I think that area of our city has needed something for a very long time.
I see
You know,
pictures from like 1900 and it was ugly then.
Yeah, it was. It has been ever since.
Was it you that said it was something about it was a train depot or something? Or?
Was a rail switching yard. There was at one point there was an elevator, grain elevator sitting in the middle. One of my favorite artifacts is that at one point there was a pedestrian crossing from Federal that crossed the rail yards and then stairs down to 4th Street.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think
From at least
if you guys go to
1952.
work,
And I'm
I've
not
opened the
asking
door
anybody
for you.
here if they remember.
Not me.
I've opened the door for you, but rumor has it, the rumor that I started is that these two guys have a boatload of money in their budget. That they can probably
You're spreading
do
rumors
things.
tonight.
They'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Yep, they will.
No how, some way, huh? Thanks, everyone.
Thank you
Thank you
very
very
much.
much.
Thanks
a
for
lot.
bringing everything over.
Start tearing down trees tomorrow.
When's the building come down?
Asbestos gets out of there on Wednesday, hopefully next Tuesday.
That's gonna totally transform
Yeah,
that corner,
will.
isn't it?
It'll look different from day one.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Be good.
Very good.
Some people live
Thank
there
you.
that won't be living there much longer.
How, we have a homeless problem there today that we have to communicate.
Oh, I'm not
Really?
surprised. It's
Yeah.
so secluded back there.
Yeah, along that back bank on the east side.
Little
It's a
village
little
back there.
village.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you very
gentlemen.
much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, is there any other,
Got a quick minute?
Matt has a couple things he wants to show
Put
us.
something on your radar screen for next month. This is a very real project. We didn't want to get started, but this is a proposed 5-story building for the lot south of the River Center on 2nd Street. Across the street.
Across the street from my office.
Yep, so
Slingshot.
small market rate apartments, retail on the 1st floor,
How tall is it?
5 stories. So probably
How many in
60
feet?
probably 65.
I've heard that
maybe.
before. 5 feet could be anything from 100 feet
Yeah.
to.
65 maybe.
Who are these people?
They are out of India.
So
are they
this is in place of
Indianapolis?
the one that, somebody else presented us a
Yeah.
project a while back.
I don't know what Tag knows, but yeah, that sign on that west elevation would not be very effective.
Mm-mm.
I apologize, I'm not. I want to say Indianapolis, but I don't think that's right. Oh, I know. They're from Cedar Falls.
How many units is it?
50.
50 units?
Yeah.
So 10 per, well, it's only 4 floors of residential.
So again, it's not super secret, but didn't want to actually put it on the agenda at this point. The council will be asked in closed session, since that's city-owned property, to convey the property, and they'll talk about that in closed session on Wednesday.
So, nice balconies.
Primarily one bedroom. Yeah,
There may even be
Thanks.
efficiencies.
really.
Oh, it
That
says
makes a
60
lot of
units.
sense. Really does.
40,000 square feet divided by 60.
Hotcakes.
40,000 square feet divided by
60, it says 60
60?
units.
Oh, 60 units?
Mhm.
Well, that's not gonna include the,
666.67.
That's pretty small.
You know, but those small ones right now, people are begging for.
Really?
Downtown. Just begging for them. There's a couple developers that are even considering doing some of their, just recently in the past couple of years, apartments to, turn them into efficiency in one bedroom.
Interesting. Interesting materials.
Mm-hmm.
It's exciting.
Thank you.
first I thought,
Have you heard of Slingshot Architects?
I've
I
heard.
have, but
I think Cedar Falls, I think they've done a lot of work in Madison. They've done,
I think so.
they've got like 3 or 4 projects similar under construction in Waterloo, Cedar Falls.
Mm.
If they can develop there,
Were
they
they
can
the
develop.
ones that were?
Well, I don't know, you and I's there, you know, that they've got such
All
a
good things
amazing
happen.
campus, or something, from what I've heard.
Oh, yeah,
And in
yeah.
amazing city.
Waiting for him to
It's
latch on to
incredible.
Wow.
So I think this will be on.
See, all good things happen.
So they're gonna come in front of us next month?
That's the plan.
Okay, so this is very confidential at this point in time?
Well, it's not super confidential, but,
We shouldn't be
they-
talking about
Semi-confidential.
what's that?
Semi-confidential.
Let's not be calling the paper.
Well, they did a project right across from one that we just finished up there, but I can't remember. And it was similar in style, sort of a big block. But I don't remember,
That's not the group that did the Harrison project,
No.
is it? Weren't they from up around that area?
no, I don't think so.
remember.
Who was that? It wasn't them, but it was, I can't remember who that was.
Oh, they were from Des Moines, I think.
What, which one is that?
Oh,
Was it HLKB?
No,
RDG?
no. And one that's just right up.
On Fifth Street?
HOK?
That's,
OPN?
Oh,
I know
Yeah,
those
that's
How many
two
other
for
letters
sure,
can you
not
say
them.
together?
Well, they're
I
doing
like your
6
shirt.
thank you.
Did I tell you that?
Doesn't have a can?
Oh, I guess we should
Yeah, really.
adjourn. Anybody wanna move to adjourn?
Oh, consider it.
Yeah, motion to adjourn?
All right,
Hey, Matt, if you could just put a
Second.
patch on that pocket.
meeting's
I'd
adjourned.
like it a lot better.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody. Greg, thanks for taking that motion.